starting up. Don't know how well this is gonna work, but it's an interesting setup. So hey, Magnus here, and took me a while to kind of get an idea of how I wanted to stream. I streamed a long time ago live, and I wanted to try it out again, especially in this new studio. So I wasn't satisfied with just starting up my webcam and just kind of going from there. I wanted to kind of boost it up a little bit compared to when I did it last time, because I was just learning how streaming worked. So right now I think I'm a little better, but again, still learning and still trying to get this whole setup going to where I like it and I'm comfortable with. So for this stream, I'm using the 5D Mark IV instead of a webcam, and the way I've got it hooked up is via USB, and then a little trick with OBS Studio to make sure that I get just the screen and the Canon software using the window mode to get it to work. So and then for a microphone, I'm using the Rode Videomic Pro as a boom mic over me so that you can hear me clearly and a lot better. So speaking of microphones, that's kind of the subject I wanted to touch upon and just hit up and see what I can talk about when it comes to learning and my experiences with learning how to use microphones when it comes to video production of my show that I do weekly. Now, I've gone through some transitions when filming because normally when I film for clients, I do events. I'm more of an event videographer. I do my own personal videos, but I enjoy doing events, and microphone setups are very different. It's very different when talking to you guys as opposed to talking to and setting up a different event. Like, for example, I do dance recitals. So in dance recitals, I'm using Zoom H4n in different locations and then setting the audio, making sure that I connect to their switcher so that I can get the best quality audio when I'm putting that together. Or if I'm doing a wedding, I'm using a lavalier and hooking it up to the priest or the groom or whatever the setup. It's just different. And then running and gunning is usually shotgun microphone all the way. But for this, I've gone through some transitions and learning curves. So I wanted to show you basically just an example of a couple of learning curves that I've used over the years. So as a quick example, this was one of my first videos when I joined YouTube a long time ago. Before 2010, I used to just post videos to share it online with whoever, you know, just friends or family. But this was one of my first videos that I said, hey, I want to share something for the public. But look at what I'm using. A microphone. I'm using a microphone that was hooked up to the camera at the time just because I wanted the audio to sound great. And it did sound great. But the problem with that is just that I had to hold this microphone the whole time. And I wanted to improve from that. I looked pretty amateur back then in 2010 when I posted that video. Though it helped a lot back then. It helped kind of get views out there. I did a lot of I did a lot of favors, I guess, for people. Whenever they'd ask me, how do I hook up my TV? Back then, I'd just say, here's a link, go watch it. So then, of course, I got criticism. Dude, why are you using a mic? So I wanted to improve that. So when I started this channel specifically for making videos and basically on DSLR and mirrorless cameras, I wanted to kind of enhance that microphone setup. And I had already purchased a few lavaliers and a few other microphone setups that I wanted to, you know, try out to get to use. And my default was a lavalier in my videos going forward. So I'm going to point out one particular video that I filmed a while ago. Now look at this. I had that lavalier and I would use that for most of my videos. I'd say almost the whole first season I would use a lavalier mic just because I could walk around and I could get around with that. and not have an issue when it comes to hearing me, because I like to move around. But I noticed, especially after some time, that I didn't want to move around. I just wanted to kind of stay and talk to you guys. And problem with that is that sometimes I didn't know where to place it. Like in that video that I just showed you, I would place it right here, right under my neck. But then when I would move my head down, it'd get muffled. So I said, okay, I'm just going to put it in my shirt. And it wasn't that bad as long as I controlled the audio levels to make sure that none of additional shirt noise got through. Unfortunately, I would sound okay, but I would still get interference every now and then. So I needed to basically upgrade my setup from this to something that would be a little bit more feasible. So time went on. I kind of still stuck to that lavalier setup for a while, until my later videos I decided to switch it up. And I'd say if I like shoot this one, now you won't be able to hear me, but as you can see, I had no more lavalier, but I did have a setup where I actually had the Zoom H4n on a tripod pointed towards me, but right under the frame. So I'd hold it right here, and I would make it so that it didn't capture much noise. It really only captured my voice, and it did a good job of just focusing on me. But the problem with that setup is that whenever I'd move my hands or whenever I'd speak loudly, it would have more of a pop, and I didn't have a pop filter. And I know that there's other solutions, such as the type of mics that you could just hold in front of you, but again, I didn't want anything between me and you guys. So that's why I chose this setup for a long time. And then I'm like, yeah, bite the bullet. Why not get a boom mic? And that's what I'm speaking on right now. When comparing all the different setups, the boom mic with, you know, on the mic stand was perfect. It actually allowed me to speak clearly, and I highly recommend the Rode Videomic Pro or the Rode Videomic Pro Plus. The quality in it, at least from my opinion, because it's subjective, it's whatever you'd enjoy. My opinion was that I actually loved it. I thought that the Rode Videomic did an excellent job of capturing that deepness and quality that I wanted. But I picked up several Rode Videomics, and that's what I want to talk about. So, like I said, this was just fine. Zoom H4n. The lavalier, I had issues in my past videos, and this, I am not using one of those again. But a while ago, I picked up a Rode Videomic Go. Now, it's pretty tiny, and the quality on it I thought was excellent when I tried it out before buying it. So I hooked it up to my DSLR, and I'm like, okay, this is perfect, because I wanted something that didn't have batteries. I didn't want to remember to pack batteries or have it die out on me or hit a switch. It's just, you plug it into your camera and you go. So I thought that this would be a great option. And then I tried using it for one of my videos, and what happened is that I heard a lot of background noise, a lot of, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought it was busted, so I went back to the store where I got it, and I was like, I'm getting a lot of issues with this microphone. It keeps on, and the person told me that you can't use it with DSLRs or anything that's not designed to provide sufficient power for this. But I didn't accept that. I didn't want to accept that. So I did a little bit more experimentation, and I found that if I have my Wi-Fi on in my house or any Wi-Fi around, then that's when it caused interference. If I turned on the Wi-Fi on the 5D Mark IV or any other camera that had Wi-Fi, it would cause interference. So I decided, you know, turn it off and see what happens, and then it works just fine. But at that point, it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Wi-Fi is everywhere these days. You don't want to work with something like that. So I upgraded to the Rode Videomic, and this one is battery powered, which I didn't want, and you have to turn it on and off. But the quality that you get out of this is, I would say, is pretty much the same as this. The only difference is you could decrease the decibel levels on this if you go actually into the battery port. And other than that, and you don't have the interference because it's running its own power, whereas Wi-Fi would interfere with this. But other than that, it worked well, and it had a longer end to it. But I found no difference in quality. And I'm going to do a comparison video probably in the future, but quality was just the same. And then the Videomic Pro, which I'm using now and you can listen to, I found it to be top notch. It was the best quality when it comes to making the videos, and as I'm editing, I would find that there's pretty much no interference with the audio as opposed to when it comes to like little noise that you'd have to clean out and post. I didn't have that issue, and I actually did not mind hooking it straight up to my camera to record, whereas previously I would just hook up microphones to my Zoom H4n and then record in wave format so I can get the best detail. I found that it wasn't even necessary, so I would just hook it up to the 5D Mark IV, although it's still pretty good quality if you do it that way. So if there are any comments, anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer my experiences when it comes to using these microphones over the years, and you know, you can just let me know. But if not, I'll pretty much, I wanted also to describe my setup that I've got going on here for this live stream. One of the cool things that I learned when setting up this live stream is that you can pretty much get by with streaming without having to spend much, if at all, a lot of money just specifically geared towards live streaming. Like, one of the things that I've seen online that's very popular when it comes to live streaming and connecting a DSLR for live streaming is that you need a capture card. If not, you got to use like a webcam or something that's designed to be hooked up via USB. And I didn't want to buy a webcam. I also didn't want to buy it. There's a cam link that actually works great that makes your DSLRs act like webcams that you can just plug into a USB 3.0 port and just have it work. But for a trial basis, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to see what I can get away with and if there's any trick to using the 5D Mark IV. And there is. It's when you use OBS Studio, which is also free, you can capture a window. And what I do is I hook up the 5D Mark IV via USB and use the Canon software to bring up the live view. And then on OBS Studio, you could actually crop into that window of live view so that you only get the video portion of your 5D Mark IV from the Canon software on your computer. From there, for audio, I just hooked up the Rode Videomic straight to the computer itself too. And here I am streaming. And when I did a couple of practice runs, I had no issues with syncing the audio and video, thankfully. It all just worked seamlessly. So basically that's my setup. And then I use a green screen in the background as I usually do, and OBS Studio let me key it off, although it's not perfect. You can see the wrinkles, but I thought that was not a bad look. I actually kind of like it. It makes it look a little bit more natural. But if there are any questions, feel free to comment or write below. If not, I don't see anything up yet, so which is fine. And thank you guys for watching. If that's all, I think I'm gonna call it a day. And once this goes up live and you can watch the replay, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, share as always, and you could make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later. Time to stop the stream.